The worst case scenario is here. What do we do next? Who's at 5? Do we trade it? Do we ever recover? It's next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Give you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. I don't have to do a lot to make your day better as a Jazz fan today. Seems like pretty much the worst case scenario. It is the worst case scenario. There's no hiding it. It's disappointing. It's heart-wrenching. We knew it was coming in a possibility, and then when it came, it was worse than all logic could give us. Thank you very much to the everydayers who are out there, and thank you for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. We are here for you on YouTube as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. Today's edition, I felt like I wore all black last night. I'm kind of wearing all black again today, is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So it sucks. Like, there's just no other way to say it. It sucks. You kind of knew it. We did all the lotteries. We did all the pseudo fanspo draft things, and we came up half the time. We came up 5th. And we knew going in that 48% of the chance was we were going to end up 5th. And Washington knew there was like a 48% chance they're going to end up 6th. And it happened. And I think it's the third straight year, if not more, that the worst record in the NBA has gone 5th. There's an 11% chance of that taking place, by the way, just to point that out. There's a 1.8% chance that Dallas gets the first pick. Why does everyone get the luck but us? Jazz have never, ever moved up in a draft lottery. Ever. I'm not smart enough. I tried to figure it out last night. I'm not smart enough to figure out. I can't figure out what each possibility of moving up was. Like this year, our chances of moving up were 0, right? So it's a little bit of a funky way to say that. That's the first time we've ever been there. But no, it's brutal. I'm not gonna, like, I had the same gut punch you did. And then I started thinking about Will Hardy and Scott Morrison and Sean Sheldon and, you know, all the coaches that are coaching these guys, and went through what was a very difficult year and hoping to get a dividend on the backside of it. We didn't get nothing. You know, everyone was perfectly aware when the season started and the Jazz were going to go through a developmental year and likely have one of the worst records in the league, that the way the lottery's flattened odds are, and they've been that way for a while, that your chances of actually getting a dividend are limited. This was not new news. We may have all been in slight denial about how real it was, but it's not new news. So it's not new news to our front office that this could have happened. It does not change like where we are and what we're doing. To some extent, it's just hopefully happening in the wrong order, right? So to some extent, you're going to do this for, as I've said, probably 2 or 3 years. We can discuss later in the show whether or not it changes what we do. But and we'll talk about what we could trade the 5th pick for and whether we should trade the 5th pick. And we'll look at 8 different players, by the way, who will probably be there at 5. We're going to have a heck of a lot of conversation about this pick, and 21. There's just going to be a lot of conversation. But this doesn't change. This isn't like an outcome that I think makes a massive change into where the Jazz are in the process, other than the big issue is the Jazz do not get a guiding star here. The hope would have been that if you came out of this draft, and this was really only if you got 1 or 2 in this draft, that you got a player that you put them in that spot. You put them where Cade Cunningham is for Detroit. Houston doesn't really have this player yet, unless Amon Thompson has become that, unless you think Alfred Sengun has come that. That Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was very clearly for Oklahoma City, and you are now building the whole thing around that. You were hoping to come out of the draft with that player. It does not look, could be that we do, but it does not look as though we got that player. At this point, this draft seems to have two of those players in Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper. Now, somebody might emerge, and that would be, we'll find out over time. So that's the hit. And it's big. We didn't get that guiding star in our first top 5 pick of this process. We'll do it again next year, and we're probably doing it again the year after. That actually hasn't changed because of last night. I think there was a little bit of a fantasy. If we get Cooper, if we got Cooper, we still probably would have been top 5 pick, or picking, going into lottery in one of the top 5 positions, and the same thing. So this does not really, to me, alter the route of the franchise, of where it is. It sucks. Don't misunderstand. It's a gut punch. It'll get nothing, though, right? This was the most likely case scenario. This is everybody on the Jazz front office and who's building this, and ownership and everyone involved knew that this was the most likely scenario when we decided to go through a developmental year and win 17 games. And while it's not the result anyone wanted, it's not a stunning result in that sense. So I don't believe that this alters the route that the Jazz were on. And to some extent, what you really are doing when you do this route is you're playing this flattened lottery odds for 2 or 3 years, probably 3, and hoping you hit one of the 3 we didn't hit on the first one. And we certainly hope next year that we hit on 1, 2, or 3, and then the year after you hit. But Detroit, right, has hit 5, 5, 5, and they hit 1 with Kate. And that's what you're playing for. It's a weird way to live, but that's what we're doing. The comment was last year worth it. So in the bubble, probably, I don't know what worth it is. We tried to develop young players. So maybe the answer to that's no, but I don't think we're in a 1-year bubble. We're in a, as I've been trying to say for a while now, a 2 to, and somehow things, it's really interesting. Twitter's put this on me because I'm being honest about it, as though this is my choice and love of life. Just what we're doing. My job here often is to tell you what we're doing and what's going on and what we're going to experience. So does it make last year worth it? I guess a sense, no. And on the other end, this was going to be part of a multi-year process that we'll see whether that's worth it. And there will now be a 5th pick inside of that. Here's the real bummer. And I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm just being honest. The really big bummer is that if you go back to November, in the last 7 months now, the Jazz have had 2 setbacks, both that feel monster setbacks. They used to felt mammoth, but now we'll call you a different word. In the Taylor Hendricks injury and the lottery results. The Taylor Hendricks injury, we just kind of moved past it, was a huge setback in the development of the young players, of the rebuild of this franchise. The Taylor Hendricks injury, Taylor Hendricks is probably the single most important player on the Jazz roster in regards to young players and where he's going to be and who he's going to be and what he can develop and whether he can or can't develop. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, he played 3 games this year, played very limited the year before that. His body's amazing. His measurements are incredible. His basketball instincts are not good. His shooting's fair to poor. We don't know anything yet. And that's the big setback. These 2 combined are a really big setback in the timeline and the process to get where we want to go. And I don't know that either of them are anyone's fault. It's probably more of a statement of just how hard this is. But the fact that Taylor's kind of at benchmark one and you didn't get your guiding star, and now it's going to be hard. All right, there are 8 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7.5, 6 that we need to know around 5. Because you know what? We actually get to move forward and now try to figure out who we want at 5. And that's next on Locked On Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai. Located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. My good friends over at Murdoch Hyundai, Blake Murdoch and the crew, over 90 years, that's 80 plus years in Utah, giving you the no regrets experience, making sure that you have a fabulous interchange, and that's exactly what they'll make sure they do. We've got VIP treatment waiting for you at any of the 3 locations in Logan, Linden, or 4646 South State Street. The Ioniq 5 and 6 are the electric cars. My dad actually is about to buy an Ioniq 6, I think, after driving our 5 while he was out here this winter and skiing. He loved it so much, he's trading in his car to get an Ioniq 6. You also have the great lineup of SUVs from the Santa Cruz I'm driving right now with a new flatback that looks awesome and drives fabulously. So check it all out at Murdoch Hyundai at 4646 South State Street, also in Logan and in Linden. Hyundai is holding their prices right now for you. If you're going to stop by, email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com. Today's show is also brought to you by Hungry Root. Everyone always has something going on, whether it's the busy season with the kids or just various things. And so don't have a lot of time for grocery shopping or cooking the healthy meal that you want to. And this is where Hungry Root comes in. Hungry Root is like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist wrapped into one. They take care of the grocery shopping, meal planning, offering personalized recommendations based on your taste and health goals. Hungry Root tailors your orders based on what you liked or don't love. It gets smarter every time. With their high-quality, nutritious food, you can stick to your gut-friendly, high-protein diet without spending hours planning. The meals come together in 15 minutes or less, giving you more time for workouts, family, hobbies, sulking, whatever it might be. Take advantage of your exclusive deal. Get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Use LockedOnNBA to get 40% off and a lifetime free item. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube. All right. 8 players might be a stretch, but we'll try to look at all of them. On the Locked On NBA big board, the number 3 player on the Locked On NBA big board is Ace Bailey. He's sick. He measured out at 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan yesterday. He's most people's 3rd pick of this draft. But Philadelphia probably is not going to want to go to a shooting guard with Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey. And so Ace Bailey does make the most sense for Philadelphia, unless, of course, Philadelphia moves this pick in some capacity. And so in all likelihood, Ace Bailey probably goes 3 and doesn't get to the Jazz at 5. I loved Ace Bailey. There's a lot of pieces. But Ace Bailey is probably, according to James Barlow, in one of the most recent Locked On NBA Big Board episodes, calls him probably your 3rd best player. So I thought on the high end he could be Chris Bosh. Probably not if he measures at 6'7". He's now a little bit more of a wing player. I do think he can be a little bit of a secondary rim defender. He's a pretty decent shooter. His handle's only okay. He's probably your 3rd best player. This is the point. The Jazz missed out on the 2 guys that are probably guiding stars for your franchise. So Bailey's probably gone. The number 4 player, surprisingly, on the Locked On NBA big board is Jeremiah Fears, who is a 6-foot, measured at 6'2" yesterday, 6'5", pure point guard. He is who ESPN has the Jazz drafting with the 5th pick. I was surprised to see this. Fears played at Oklahoma. He's young. He's 18 years old. He won big games last year. So he shot 28% from 3. This is going to begin a conversation that we're going to have ongoing, I think, between now and June 23rd or whatever it is, 25th, is what do we do about Isaiah Collier and Keyonte George? Because just about every pick here is going to cut into Isaiah Collier and Keyonte George's minutes. And I'm just going to be frank. Well, I'm David, but I'll be frank. I don't think Isaiah Collier and Keyonte George have showed enough yet that you don't draft the best player available. That doesn't mean I don't think Isaiah Collier or Keyonte George could be established, solid, 30-minute-a-night NBA players. They both have more bullish on Keyonte, frankly, with some of his skill sets if he can put some things together. But neither Isaiah Collier in his 1 year or Keyonte George in his 2 years have shown me enough that if I was the Utah Jazz front office, I would avoid drafting the same position. So Jeremiah Fears is 6'2". He is a point guard. He gets into the paint. He's hard to keep in front of you. He sees the court well. He passes well. If he is deemed your best player available, regardless of Isaiah Collier on the roster, you're drafting Jeremiah. And I think you have to draft Jeremiah Fears. You then do have an issue, though, that you are now sharing minutes between these two guys, both of which you're developing, which is one of the real problems we're going to run into in the next few years as you have these plethora of young players. They're going to be incongruent or overlapping. So Jeremiah Fears is number 4 on the Locked On NBA Big Board. I have to admit, Jeremiah Fears, and I'll watch him again, is the one player that I've watched so far that made me very nervous. And I am a numbers person, and I like my numbers, and I have some numbers that make me concerned about players, and Jeremiah Fears' lack of shooting makes me very nervous. I'm a believer that there are certain thresholds that as a shooter, if you are not over, you'll never be able to shoot. Jeremiah Fears is not under those numbers. Okay? So he's not a red flag. He's a 50 percentile spot-up shooter, 66 percentile catch-and-shoot shooter. His off-the-bounce shooting, which he took 133 off-the-bounce dribbles, he made just 37% effective field goal percentage, which is in the 31 percentile, but it's actually better than VJ Edgecombe's. Number 5 on the Locked On NBA Big Board is VJ Edgecombe. Most mock drafts have VJ Edgecombe out of Baylor, measured yesterday at 6'4" with a 6'7.25" wingspan, as being off the board by we get to 5. Edgecombe is a little old for a freshman. I think he's 19.7, which I think is a little, there's 3 guys to me that are almost a year older than they should be. Not quite, but and that's Edgecombe's 19.7 years old. So whatever, that's probably 9 months. Kon Knueppel and Derek Queen. Derek Queen's 20-year-old freshman. My daughter's 20 and just finished her sophomore year. That's a much more natural progression than being 20 and just about finishing your freshman year, or being 20 in your freshman year. And to me, that makes me nervous. You're just bigger and stronger than every other kid you've ever played your whole life. Okay, VJ Edgecombe is 5th on the board. Again, another one that James Barlow from Locked On NBA Big Board referred to as a complimentary piece. So there's no guiding star here. And I would agree. I watched Edgecombe. He's interesting. His burst is incredible. His quick explosion was amazing. We did yesterday's show on him. Number 6 on the NBA Big Board is Trey Johnson. Tankathon, The Athletic, and CBS all have him going number 5 to the Utah Jazz. His measurements yesterday were really interesting. 6'4" 3/4 without shoes, 6'10" wingspan. I wonder whether he'll be on the board at 5. This kid can score 20 points a game in the NBA. As we sit here on May 13th, My hope at 5 would be Trey Johnson. Give us a second Dallas, Texas shooting guard. He was an 87% free throw shooter last year. His numbers are fabulous. He's in the 81st percentile in transition. He's an average isolation player on 105 attempts. He ran 125 pick and rolls. He was in the 80th percentile. The more he runs pick and roll, the better he's going to get. He was a 57th percentile in spot up shooting, 84th percentile in catch and shoot shooting, 75th percentile in off the bounce shooting on 194 attempts. And he measured great. And he can really score it. He is being criticized for how high volume he is and that he's Cam Thomas. I just am not going to. First of all, Cam Thomas scores 25 points a game in the NBA. I am just not going to be the one who's critical on that. Number 7 on the Locked On NBA big board, in a little bit of a surprise, is Derek Queen out of Maryland. He's averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. He's 6'9", 248 pounds with a 7-foot reach. He did not shoot it well, but he plays with the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker. He's a rookie. He's out of Maryland. He's old for his age. I have not watched him yet. I will. Number 8 on the Locked On NBA big board is Malowich, the 7-foot center from Duke, 7'6" 3/4. This is a Walker Kessler question. They're very similar. If you think Malowich is better, you literally are starting over at your center position. You're moving Walker. You're taking Malowich, who's bigger, longer, could have a better defensive impact if you think that's the case. You have to decide. I think the little bit on this one might be the one time where you decide what the delta between what you have is and what you could have. Number 9th player on the Locked On NBA big board is a Frenchman, Noah Senge, who I don't know much about, has some shooting concerns, and is there. The 10th player on the Locked On NBA big board is the most commonly mocked player to the Utah Jazz, and it's next on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by Monarch Money. I love this feature. I love these products. I think they're so valuable. So, you ever wonder where all your money goes? Like, why are we running a surplus? Or why are we running a deficit? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's like having a personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. You also might find out you're not doing anything that wrong. It goes both ways. It's not always bad news. It can be actually really good news. Wow, we're being super frugal. We're saving this amount. We're doing a great job. Or we're living a great life and we're not going into debt. Monarch Money can give you a lot of good news. It's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Track all your accounts, your investment, your spending in one place so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Monarch Money, realize how much you're spending on various little things. Ours is skiing and travel. So all in one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check finances, check spending, track spending, even long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. There's crazy stuff going on in the NBA. We're not even getting to it today. You could have been playing this and making hay in FanDuel these days. That's right. With the NBA playoffs in full swing, every night delivering craziness, can't miss moments, game-winning shots, and stunning upsets. FanDuel is your way to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways to win than ever and more ways to play and win big. Which players are going to show up the biggest moments? How many points is Jalen Brunson going to score in the fourth quarter? You can track it and trend it and get all over it. Combine live prop bets, mid-game bets, all at FanDuel. And how could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement. If you hit on your first $5 bet, that's right, FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. And if you're new to FanDuel and you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And FanDuel, tonight, big one, Oklahoma City and Denver. I have a sneaking suspicion that Oklahoma City is a 10.5-point favorite. Wow. Cleveland's a 7.5-point favorite against Indiana, down 3-1 there. Minnesota is an 11.5 game favorite against Golden State. And somehow Boston is still favored today. They also have Dinger Tuesday, which is your guess on who's going to hit a home run in Major League Baseball. Super fun over at FanDuel. Kon Knueppel. We wanted a Duke freshman, and according to according to DraftNet and The Ringer and Yahoo, we're going to get a Duke freshman. He's out of Minnesota, I believe. His name is Kon Knueppel. He measured yesterday at a disturbing 6'5" with a 6'6" wingspan. He is tough. He is physical. He is a fabulous shooter. He is the best shooter in the draft. He is not anything, I think, what any of us expected to get out of this draft. And he's the most commonly mentioned player. He is in limited transition. He was in the 91st percentile. He's not a particularly good pick and roll handle. He is the best shooter in the draft. Spot up at 98%. His catch and shoots at 92%. His off the bounce dribble is not very good. He is literally at college was just a pure catch and shoot guy. I'll be honest. I haven't watched a lot. I think he's tough as hell, by the way. I'll say that. He physically owns his space, puts his body into people, plays really hard. I don't see it at 5. But, and the Locked On NBA Big Board has him at 10. But the DraftNet, the Ringer, and the Yahoo do. Trey Johnson, according to the 7 mocks, and I didn't get an NBA Big Board mock yesterday. The 7 mocks that I found last night from trusted sites. The 7 mocks, 3 of them, Tankathon, Athletic, and CBS, have Trey Johnson. 3 of them, The Ringer, Yahoo, and DraftNet, have Kon Knueppel. And ESPN has Jeremiah Fears. What I would tell you is we have got lots of time to analyze and look at it. And the other storyline is whether the Jazz should keep the pick. If you can go get Trae Young for the 5th pick, do you do it? If you can go get Zion Williamson for the 5th pick, do you do it? I'll throw a wild card out there. If you can go get Jaylen Brown for the 5th pick, do you do it? I don't think you can get Giannis. I know that's what everyone's going to want. San Antonio and Houston are going to have a bidding war for Giannis that I think is going to be more than we could imagine or be a part of. San Antonio now has the 2nd pick, Stephen Castle, a few contracts, and they have Giannis. Houston puts together Jalen Green, something else, and they have Giannis. And I think the biggest winner of the NBA draft very well may have been the Milwaukee Bucks. But the Jazz now have another question. Boston may very well have just lost Jason Tatum for all of next year, if that injury is what everyone is perceiving it to be. And they suddenly, next year, have Tatum at 54, Jaylen Brown at 53, Kristaps Porzingis at 30, Derek White at 28, Drew Holiday at 32, on a team that without Jason Tatum for a year, and maybe Jason Tatum not quite right for a while, may not be ready. Are they suddenly going to want to get off of Jaylen Brown's 53, 57, 61, and $64 million in his next 4 years because of the change in the course of their franchise and the luxury tax that they have to pay? And do the Jazz suddenly jump in and take Jaylen Brown? And would you trade the 5th pick of the NBA draft for Jaylen Brown? And would you trade the 5th pick of the NBA draft for Zion Williamson? And would New Orleans do that? And would you trade the 5th pick of the draft for Trae Young? I bet Atlanta would do that. Those, plus looking at those 8 players, will be much of our conversation for the next 3 or 4 weeks before Leaf Tulane takes over for a week or 2 before the draft. We've got lots to talk about. The world goes on. Yesterday sucked, but we still get to hang out together every day on Locked On Jazz. This is Locked On Jazz. Thanks very much for tuning in today. Yeah, it sucked. Sucked. But we'll figure out what to do. And if we get a 20-point a game score in Trey Johnson, it might not be the worst thing. It might be pretty damn good. That is Locked On Jazz. Thanks for tuning in. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA. Plus, check out Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night.